Good morning. I'm Hortensia Williams from the U.S. Embassy's protocol team and also a member of Team Peace Corps Jamaica. Welcome to the Star Spangled Sit-Down. Joining me today is our very special guest, Fae Ellington, a Jamaican who is institutional to the island's history and the diverse cultural moments. Quite literally, the narrator and one of the voices of Jamaica's history. Welcome, Fae.
Thank you, Hortensia. Good to see you.
You're right. Thank you for joining us.
It's an honor and a pleasure to be here.
Okay. As Jamaica celebrates 60 years of independence, we want to take a closer look at Jamaica's growth throughout your eyes. Can you think back to your earliest independence celebration memory and describe the scene?
Oh, Hortensia, I remember that vividly. I was 9 years old. I was attending Smithville Primary School, and it was excitement. It was excitement through my grandmother's eyes and my mother's eyes and the people in the community and the people across Jamaica, because it was a very important period. And I'm very glad for my grandmother and my mother, who just made me understand the significance of the time. Because you see, we were coming from this whole business of being a colony and then moving into self-government and ultimately independence. So, child, we had to practice the anthem, because when I went to school, I'd like to let you know, I was singing God Save the Gracious Queen, because we were still a colony. I was born in 1953. So we had to learn the anthem. We had to learn the flag and the colors and the symbolism of the colors. We had to learn the coat of arms, the emblems and the symbols, because they are different, right? And of course the pledge and the national song. And on the morning of Hortensia, we go to the school ground and we hoist the Jamaican flag. And we also got some mementos at that time. Now, I want you to look at this very carefully, but you can't touch it and you can't take it. This happens to be 60 years old. I didn't quite understand, so I should lock it up in the tin case or the trunk or in the cupboard or whatever, and it should have been put away. So you'll see that the coat of arms, not so strong and permanent, because I use it for my lemonade and my coconut water and everything. But this was one of the gifts that was given to children. We had exercise books and pencils and pens. The adults got cups and mugs, and there were display plates and all of that. And at the end of all of that, we, not on the day, I can't recall, but we had a gathering, a picnic, where Lennon High School is now located. It was a common. Archdeacon Lennon apparently owned that place. So we went there for a picnic.
Where exactly is Lennon? That
is in Clarendon, where the Lennon High School is. You go through, Moco is a sprawling community, pleasant sprawling community, and you have Lennon, and then you go up, you go to Thompson Town. I'm going to miss out some of the other communities. Then from Thompson Town, 3 miles to Smithville. And then from Smithville, continuing on the main road, 7 miles to Frankfield. But let me tell you, the adults in the community, they understood what was happening. And those adults ensured that as children, we understood that it was a very important time in our lives. And listen to this. You see the anthem? There was a time when we would be sitting at the dining table on a Sunday. I can't remember why it was or what it was. Then we had 2 radio stations. I don't remember which one it was. But whatever it was, if we were sitting at that dining table and the anthem started, my grandmother and my mother just looked at my cousin Errol and I, and everybody dropped their eating implements, and you stood to attention at the dining table. That's how seriously they took it and understood the importance of independence. If you're out in a yard or sweep and you hear the auntie, you drop a broom, same time, coconut broom or yard broom and you turn up. That's how seriously my grandmother and my mother took it. The pride of an anthem and what it stood for.
And what it stood for.
Yes.
At 60 years old, what do you think about us in terms of, I would say, respect for the national symbols?
We have a little challenge. We have to go back to civics and also to, I was at the vigil in Seville on July 31, and they started off with the anthem, and a few people were moving. And I remember a lady moved past me, and of course I don't want to talk in the anthem, but I said, you have to stand. No man kept moving. Well, you know, so I was fit to be tired, and I couldn't move on. I said to her, do you understand this? But I think we have to go back to that place where my mother and my grandmother and the whole community understood the significance of this. Mark you, I don't believe it's just Jamaica that doesn't deal with their anthem, because I see it in other countries as well, you know, but we have to go back to that place where our emblems and our symbols mean what they are supposed to mean, and we understand.
That is so true.
We understand.
That is so true. All right. So you've been present for so many historic moments that Jamaicans have watched on television. Are there any moments that will always stand out in your mind? Are there any career-defining moments for you?
Yes, and I'm going to start with one that I was not a part of. I was not a commentator on, but I am so privileged and happy to say that I came across some of the most important people who guided my life in terms of standards. 1976, in the National Stadium, watching the gala for Carrie Festa unfold that was produced and directed by the late Wycliffe Bennett. He understood the concept of large gatherings and large performances. He understood the importance of research and preparation. And so it wasn't a week or two or three. It was much more than that, to get all the students ready and the singing and the choir with Weeder Hilton conducting the orchestra and the whole stadium coming. I stood at the top of the grandstand and I just looked wide-eyed with awe. 1976. I had joined the Jamaica Broadcasting Corporation in 74. So I was still a little something in terms of experience. So when you see all of this unfolding in front of you, and then Wycliffe Bennett had taught me theater at the Jamaica School of Drama. Then I'm under his influence and guidance in broadcasting, because he was general manager at the JBC at one point. And you realize, well, this is what you need to aspire to, this kind of standard. So that is one of them, just understanding how the different parts come together and the time that it would take for a particular quality of work to be exhibited. So that was one. Then in 1977, I covered my first state funeral. You know who that was? A national hero, Sir Alexander Bustamante, 1977. That was something else. Attention. The late Dennis Hall was in the inside of the Holy Trinity. I was at the gate doing a simulcast. It means that my commentary was being taken on both radio and television. A piece of rain come down. And you can't put on the things and run. You're doing commentary. I was soaked to the bone. And the lady, those days it's not a phone or a device or something with your notes, it's paper. And you're trained, you should have 5 times the amount of research material than you will need in case of anything. And a lady held an umbrella over my head trying to protect me. Thank you, lady, if you're still alive and wherever you are. But the umbrella started to drip on the paper. Oh, my goodness. But I carried my commentary and I carried myself. And at the end of it, I went into Uncle D, that's Dennis Hall. I called, you know how we are in Jamaica. We call uncle and auntie for senior people. And I was soaking wet and they took me home. So that was a different. I covered it all, maybe all of the prime ministers who've died since I've been in the business. That was the first one, Sir Alexander Bustamante. I did Hugh Sherry, I did Michael Manley, I did Edward Seagan, of course, Governors General. And the preparation for that, and a defining moment or moments is working with the military, because the military, the JDF, very involved in this. And you know that they're not leaving anything to chance, and the kind of time and skill that they bring to it. So those things, I am militaristic by nature and personality. So working, yes, I like things to happen right. That's what I mean by that. And I will pull you up as a lecturer. My students will tell you at the Caribbean School of Media and Communication, you can't come to my class late. So I ask you, when you look at television, you see an empty chair and somebody say, so-and-so going to put on their makeup, they're not finished yet. You know, so that is one of them. Then, of course, covering Her Majesty, the Queen, Queen Elizabeth. I did 3 of those. See, I know this was another one. So Leona Forbes and I, one of us doing radio, the other one television at Gordon House, or House of Parliament. And we're sitting on the ledge because we have to get the best view. And when we look right across into the Parliament gardens, somebody one man climb one sauce-up tree to get the best view. And in the middle of my best commentary, me and Leona, the man drop out a sauce-up tree. Defining moment to contain yourself. But we were over here and we said, everybody's trying to get the best view possible. And, I don't remember the exact words, but can you imagine containing yourself? Man drop out, I saw us up tree. You understand? And then visiting presidents and heads of state and all of that. I covered President Reagan. But Lord, Mrs. Barack Obama. Oops. I was on the tarmac at the Norman Manley International Airport doing the commentary for his arrival. And it was just I have the U.S. Embassy do for that thing. Between the U.S. Embassy and the government of Jamaica. You know, I never met him. That's where it go. When you work,
yes,
you work.
That's true.
You very rarely get a chance. But I would have loved it. Yeah. But what was outstanding and defining, I went home tired because of the prep and the research and stuff, and I'm at home fighting. I did hear sleeping, and I heard the phone ring. The long and short of it, Hortensia, when I eventually hauled myself up, and people are calling and say, Fae, your commentary is on Rachel Maddow's show. MSNBC. So that's another defining moment.
Wow, Fae.
Yes, your commentaries are. When me hear the thing, Mommy gets a little.
You're in Jamaica, you say,
yes, you know. So that was a define. So I have done, you know, also being guided by people like, as I said, Wycliffe Bennett and Merrick Needham and Leonie Forbes and all those, and the late Easton Lee, and being the orator for King's House for National Honors and Awards. Those things mean a lot. I don't take them for granted, and I'd like to acknowledge those who believe I still can bring something to the table. Yeah, those are moments I won't forget. And then there are lighter moments, you know, that, you know, going somewhere to do an outside broadcast for the opening of a supermarket. And this was long before the coverage of various things, long before we had the kind of technology we have, you know, and remembering that. And I want to go back to the days when there was only one television station, the Jamaica Broadcasting Corporation, as part of that family, and the important role of capturing national and state events. You know, we are now in the independence period. JBC would cover all of the festival things, the festival song, and I was MC for festival song finals for years, as MC for Miller Go Round, as a judge with JCDC for years for performing arts, and you know, and I ultimately served on the board as and also chairman of the board for a period of time.
So have you ever taken a break, Fae?
I don't like what you're doing. You're backing me into a corner. You know what happened? You know what happened, Hortensia? When you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work. Mark, you know, when you keep going, at some point it's a lot of tired and you drop down and sleep. But I'm not a break person, which is not good. And I wouldn't tell anybody you need to organize. But sometimes you organize for a break and something happens, like happened to me recently, that I was called on to do something and you cut it short. But when you love what you do, it just lifts your soul and your spirit. And also, when you're able to share what you do with younger people and get them to do what you do or prepare themselves, because had it not been for people, my senior, guiding me and say, you can do this. You know, so it's not sufficient for me to say, this is Fae Ellington, and I do this and I cover that. You have to help others to do exactly what you do it as good as you do it, or even do it better than you've done it. Very important.
I don't want to put you on the spot, Fae, but
who
you would consider to be your mentors?
There are many. I mentioned some of them. Wycliffe Bennett, Leonie Forbes, Easton Lee, and then I could go to Dennis Hall. When Dennis Hall was the first quiz master for Schools Challenge quiz and the chief announcer of the Jamaica Broadcasting Corporation and the news anchor and the covering of Parliament, I used to just run back at him, Uncle D, you're going to Parliament Road, because I just wanted to learn and observe. And there are other names that I haven't called, Mark, you know. But you have to, when you find yourself in a place where there are people who know what they're doing and they do it very well, exceptionally well, they're excellent at what they do, you need to tag along if you really want to grow and develop. So it was a big tag-alonger. Good. Big tag-along. And those people never made me get away with mediocrity. So you'd be on air, for example, and at the end, the technical operator would just say to you, when you're finished, go down to so-and-so's office. You say, right? And when you go down there, they would say, look here now, X, Y, Z, you've got to fix that, you've got to grow, you've got whatever it is. And you mustn't only expect the congratulations if you really want to grow. You must expect when somebody says, could have been better, and this is how you can do it. Go now and do the work. Those people are Leonie Forbes. Wycliffe Bennett, for example, who did both theatre and say, Wycliffe would come to my place. He would still until death, and may I say hi to Aunt Aisley if she watches this, his widow. He would, and she accompanied him to all rehearsals, little theatre. Dr. Hazel Bennett and she mark her thing by she did it. But Wycliffe would come to the theatre, and when he said, little one, that was good. That was good, you know. Or Leonie would say, yes, Faye, love that. But oh, you thought so and so? You know, Easternly, but they corrected you. And you didn't think we have to be careful that when we get on air, that we didn't think we have arrived. And that nobody can tell you nothing. Because it's something that can fill up your head, you know. But you have to keep your foot on the ground and be humble. Yes.
Yeah. Boy, Faye. All right. So, Faye, looking ahead, what has set the Jamaican people and culture apart globally that will help retain the island's vibrancy in the years to come?
Resilience and creativity. Whether you're talking about our businessmen and women, or you're talking about our athletes, and you know that is so very important to us. Resilience that a big time, you know. Or you're talking about our educators, the solid educators. Resilience and creativity. You talk about our musicians. And please understand, it's not just dancehall we have, you know. We have the reggae, we go back to ska, how we did move into rock steady, to slow down ska. But before that, you had Mentor and so on. And then you have people who have been excellent at classical music as well, Dawn Marie Virtue, etc. She's not in the island. The role of the Edna Manley, and remember it does say the Edna Manley College for the Visual and Performing Arts, and they've added other things there now. Very important, School of Arts, School of Music, School of Drama, School of Dance, and that school that Blacker, Ellis, forgive me, Blacker, that section, I can't remember what name right now. But very important institution. So when you look at the School of Music, they're doing, Ibo Cooper is there and all of that and others. They're doing not just reggae and pop music, but they're doing classical, jazz, all of that. You know, look at the School of Drama and how they've trained teachers. So you have CXC and you have the what do you call it, theatre arts in CXC for the last few years. You know, the School of Music. And let me tell you, you look at the National Dance Theatre Company celebrating 60 years as well. And the role of the late Professor Rex Nettleford and those foundation members. You look at the playwrights in Jamaica, Trevor Rohn. Look at The Harder They Come. Perry Hensel and Trevor Rohn there, right? You look at Louis Marriott, Lloyd Record, Carl Record. It is just, we just have an amazing, and the newer ones like Patrick Brown, David Heron, you understand? Basil Dawkins. You know me, I call him, but that's muddy. And then you look at the performers. Oliver Samuels, Ruth O'Shane, Carol Laws. We were all foundation members of the Jamaica School of Drama. Right? And look at the roles that we have played, and Oliver big and broad abroad, local and abroad, and the rest of us have played our roles. Some of us, like myself, moved into teaching at the University of the West Indies at Carrimack. But the foundation, the training, the solid, you know, I tell my students all the time, keep raising your personal bar of excellence. I'm not expecting perfection from anybody or myself, because I'm always looking back at something and say, you could have improved on that, always. But go for excellence. Go for excellence. And so that is resilience, creativity. And when we don't do it, then we suffer. Right? When we are not creative, when our standards are not where they ought to be, then we suffer. And we have some of that, you know. But this is a time to look at how we can bring the focus back there and work on who we are, what we stand for in the world. Look at our political, the geopolitics that we've played, the role we have played to assist other countries or to uphold certain ideologies. You know, big thing. We're big and broad out there, and we need to teach history. Many of our young people don't know our history and what we have done. We really need to make history compulsory right up to fifth form. A few schools have it. All schools should. Our history.
So you think that's lacking?
Yet it is. And civics.
I remember civics.
Yes. That's why, you know, those of us who did civics understand, you know, what happens in Parliament, why is the lower house so different from the upper house, and the governance systems and all of that. We need to go there for people to understand. And, you know, we have a lot of national pride. You have Anya Green, and when the boy, what a way the netballers mash it up recently. Woo! Mm-hmm. And the athletes running both in America or Commonwealth Games and so on. But where we fall down is the civic pride.
Yes.
So I drive behind somebody and then fling something out of the window. Me no stop beat me horn, but me never know if them know why the horn behind them is blowing. So we need to fix that.
Okay.
Our environment. And if it's I'm from a farming community, God, we need to go back to understanding that we need to be really self-sufficient with agriculture. Very important. Because you can't feed yourself, dog, yam your supper, and it's a mongrel with mange. That's my part.
Oh, dear.
That's my creativity.
Yeah, I know you're good. So, Fae, you talked about music. And, we what would you say is your favorite genre? Because, Fae, I have seen you out. I've seen you out, and I noticed that when the music starts, especially certain kinds of music, you seem not to be able to contain yourself.
Yeah, I know I can't.
So,
I don't have favorites, but of course, if I hear ska, if whatever it is, I'm going to get up and dance. Let me just say something about a relationship I had with this United States Embassy hosting their jazz and blues concerts. I did that for many, many years, whether it was at Emancipation Park or Hope Gardens or Devon House, East Lawn, or wherever it was. And so whether it is jazz and blues, it's just a thing. When I hear music, it moves me. Or if it's traditional music. So if you ever saw play a little thing in here, now that sound or look like Dinky Minnie, the interview done, finish, may I get up and Dinky Minnie, right? Yes. When you hear the drums of Kumina in your soul, when you hear the padded thing hit the drum for Poco, when you hear the go over there so now to Gary, when you hear tambo, me say tambo, me tambo, me tambo, yeah, tambo, yeah. Me say tambo, me tambo, me tambo, yeah. It just do something. It just does something. Or just the music of the voice alone. I had here another person who influenced me, the late Dr. Olive Lewin. I spent 1 year singing with the Jamaican folk singers, and the value of that was like 10. You just didn't learn your folk song, You learn discipline, come to rehearsal on time, learn the harmony, learn the this, learn the words, learn the history of the thing, right? I don't know if it's fair or won't, but she did say, you don't practice until you get it right. You practice until you can't get it wrong. That thing stay with me, and I share it with my students. But I mean, the music of the pure voice, you know? And so we're talking about, I don't know about when we come from country at board floor, and I'm cutting out brush and wax. I go up morning, Mr. Potter, morning to you, sir. I come to lodge a complaint to you now, sir. We plant a piece of red, Sally Land, Mary Jane, and Pigeon, come eat it out, sir. Come out of me yard, me never call you, ya. Come out of me yard, me never call you, ya. For the house rent money, not done pay for. When you listen to folk songs, me do it fast, and sometimes, people now, it's a story. It's social commentary. Morning, Mr. Potter. Morning to you, sir. Me come to lodge a complaint. The man the animal going and I'm doing something. Poor Mr. Potter not very understanding. The man said, come out of me yard, me never call you. But it's the work songs and going down the Rio Grande. Me just thank God for Olive Lewin and her exposing me to that level of folk culture. Then I don't yourself tell about Miss Lou, My first pantomime was 1971, written by the late Trevor Rowan. Can you imagine? And Oliver Samuels, Ruth Oshing, and myself, we're students at School of Drama. We're not supposed to appear in a commercial production, but we bulldoze our way, we lobby, we do everything till we get to go in there. Can you imagine being on stage with Miss Lou, Mas Ran, the late Fitzweir, and his Hibbert, some of them name it in a Ward Theatre. And Ward Theatre, everybody, if you don't know, is a replica of the theatres built at West End, the theatre district in London. Can you imagine them kind of influence there? With the Boris Gardner happening band on stage, not in the orchestra pit. They put, because it was Music Boy and Chris Leon as... I tell you, I born at the right time, at the right people, whose example I could follow, who could guide, who I could observe and learn from, are born at the right time. And I thank everybody whose shoulders I stand on. May I tell you, because we stand on shoulders. You don't do it on, I don't care how you think that you are the best thing, still sliced bread. You don't do it by your own. And don't only stay thinking you're the best thing. Pass on, pass it on.
For those who are listening who don't understand what the sliced bread thing is,
Oh.
you want to explain that just a little,
Well,
please?
that's like when you have bread that is sliced and you buy it at the supermarket, it is very easy, and it is to prepare or to just cut a slice and the rest of it. And you know, the best thing since sliced bread, it was considered the best thing. But right now, for some people, bread is not even the best thing. Depending on what kind of illness you have. Or what kind of diet is supposed to depend on. I mean, right now, I would like to have some, you know what I'd like right now? And I show the car some for you. I like a piece of jackass corn.
I haven't had that in a lot.
I bust a man to backbone. Type your jaw, and I like that some asham. The corn.
I know.
And you with sugar. Oh, God.
You have to be careful.
Asham, if asham choke you, you know what the remedy is? We now say it yourself. But those things, my uncle Isaac used to, when he come from town, police, him stop down a parade and him buy. Me still write about them, you know, the wangler and the nice candy and the, not candy like what you buy now, you know. You talk about candy. You ever see them make candy? The candy throw and them have the wood and the thing and you do the thing and throw it on. Like, it's an amazing thing. Now, I know that we're going to move with time, but there are certain things that are just distinctly ours. You know,
Yes.
that I remember fondly.
Boy, Faye, this has been so interesting. Because, you know, as a nation, we do have a rich and diverse
Very much so.
culture.
Very
We
much
do.
so. You, look at that. As a nation, we're one of the few countries to bring a religion into the world, and not the center, Rastafari. Okay. And reggae music, a
Yes.
music form.
Yes, we little but we.
The resilience, the creativity, all of that, you know? Amazing. Simply amazing.
So the saying, we little but we.
But with Talawa, we little but with Talawa. It's a real thing. So little but with Talawa means that you're small in stature, but you're big in what you deliver. You know, whether it's when those girls take 1, 2, 3. But I want to also speak about our scientists, you know, because our scientists have, sometimes we look at the popular side of things and don't look there. And you look at people like Professor Manley West and who they develop, use this marijuana, medicinal marijuana, is not, you know, him use marijuana, must be 30 or odd years ago and make a thing for glaucoma, Canasol, and then they make a thing for asthmasol. You know, so I want to acknowledge all our scientists who are doing research now, young and not so young, those who have gone by the wayside and made their contribution and moved on to greater heights. But let us not just think of the music and yes, important, but the role. Because without science, we're in trouble. The mathematicians. I went to school with a woman called, well, a girl she was at the time, called Catherine Lynn. Catherine Lynn, an amazing mathematician. You understand? And she's done outstanding work in Jamaica, Canada, all over the world. You know, actuarial scientists, Daisy Coke, them women. Let's look at the women.
Happy Grove.
Yeah, Happy Grove. You went to Happy Grove? Yes, there you go. Daisy Coke, who've led, you know, and she was there as an actuarial scientist before Catherine Lynn.
Yes.
Yeah.
So 60 years, we do have a lot to celebrate regardless of the challenges that we face as a nation.
Regardless.
We still have so much to be proud of.
Yes.
And the fact is that we can move forward.
Yes. We just have to understand that we have a role. If I were if I were where I was 60 years ago, I would just remind myself of the importance of ensuring that I play my part in identifying the identity of a nation, ensuring that I play my part in making sure that the nation's identity is indelibly stamped, that the purpose of our nation is understood, and I play my part. You know what I keep saying? I play my part because we all have to play our part. And that is how my mother and grandmother grew me up. You play your part. And so making sure that our identity is solidly stamped. And yes, the world knows us. As you said, we're a little bit about Talawa, but then we need to know ourselves a little better and to know where we are and where we're going.
So Faye, in closing, and I know we have covered a bit of that, but what would you say to your younger self about what to expect for Jamaica's growth at 60 years of independence?
You mean in
I know we have
1962?
covered
Yes, in
some of it.
1962?
Yes.
What would I say? I would have to say, as my grandmother and mother would say, look here, this is a new chapter. This is a new beginning. There are people who have fought and worked very hard to take us to this place that we're at now. It's not the end. It's not the end. And you have a role to play, as all Jamaicans will have a role to play, to ensure that this country grows and develops into a world leader in every possible way. Because we are world leaders, a world leader in many ways, but then we are struggling in some ways. So, and of course, I go back to identity. We have to ensure that you work on what it means to be a Jamaican thoroughly, totally, completely, and how you play your part in all of that.
Hey. Well, folks, that's all the time we have.
I shut off our ears.
No, Faye, you didn't, you know. I learned a lot today, and I'm sure our audience out there, some have known some things, but some might know some things.
Yes.
But I'm sure there are many persons who have learned a lot this morning just about us as Jamaicans, and you know, the fact that we are celebrating 60 years of independence.
Yes. I can't believe it has gone by so quickly. I remember when it was 50. I remember it was 40. I remember it was 25. And Roy Ryan did this song, Give Thanks and Praises, we are 25. And they say, how we reach at 60? And then I say, okay, some of the arthritic pain you're having tells you why you're at 60.
Yeah, I can always depend on you.
How we reach that so? And then sometimes I talk to somebody in the middle of one sentence, I can't remember one word. I say, oh, stay, all right. I'm not giving up, I'm good on trying. That's me. I'm not giving up. My mother is 94 and still alive. And may I tell you, remember to say this, one of the things, and this is the business, maybe touch on it slightly a little while, agriculture, we need to understand, so we need to feed ourselves and we need to have excess for export. Because if you can't feed yourself, you can't factor in a life as a nation. And that is something, because I'm from a farming community, you know.
So you used to do any farming?
Well, you know, me go up bush, go down a bottom, and to walk with crocus bag with the banana or the breadfruit or whatever upon my head. And me a machete wheel there, you know. Yes, and dig yam with my grandmother.
Wow.
Yes, and pick coffee and chocolate. And put the chocolate, after you pick it and you broke the pod, chocolate meaning cocoa, and you broke the pod and you put it on the barbecue on the zinc for dry, and then you parch it, and then you put it in mortar, you understand? And then you go on until the oil come out, and then you farm in a chocolate bar, and the coffee. Up to now, I don't drink coffee, you know. Because my mother and my grandmother tell me, say, children, it will stunt your growth when you're little bit.
I heard that.
But you reap the coffee, and you do the same thing, and with the beans, and you roast it, and you put it with a little milk, and then that perhaps was because it was so strong, because you made your own coffee at home. You understand? And the ginger, we had a special little knife called a ginger knife, because, you know, ginger have what we call the toes, and you have to learn how thin knife. And what do you mean if you have to tie out goat? Go over come and go tie out goat, and when you come from school, you go over come and carrying back the goat. And if rain fall, goat go on the cellar. Enough things happen on the cellar, like fowl, lay egg on the cellar, you know.
Born and grown in the country, you know, Faith, I'm relating to a lot of what you're saying.
And then you have outside kitchen, and outside kitchen have crane are the little, call it lattice work type thing, make out of wood, and you put the meat for hang this up, and the smoke come up from the wood fire. And the ashes where you put the flour dumpling under and bake it.
And when you curry some of that, all the
something like when dead in here.
All right.
Or the yellow yam where you roast.
I don't want you dead in here.
When you roast the yellow yam and you slice it in a two, how nice it will be with the ackee and the saltfish and the sweet flour dumpling, sticking me ribs with the coconut oil. Oh, what a glorious day when we roast the yellow yam. Oh, what a glorious day to celebrate 60 years. But the voice come up like a while, I did afraid when I start, because sometimes it come out
I'm not noted
croak.
for singing, you know, Faye. I'm noted for singing. So for speaking. So I hope I didn't sound too awful through all of this.
Not at all.
Right. So Faye, you know, that's all the time we have, and we thank you so much for joining us.
And my pleasure. May I just wish all the staff of the U.S. Embassy a happy 60th anniversary. I'm really very thrilled and happy that you invited me. And I want to particularly wish Ambassador Nick Perry happy 60th anniversary, because being ambassador in Jamaica at this time, being a Jamaican at this time, must be extremely significant and special for you. Happy anniversary to all of you, and to you watching. God bless your walk good and tell them other one how they do.
All right. So thank you Faye again for coming, for joining us. And we thank you also, our audience on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, for joining us. So goodbye and walk good.